Dr. Peter Asante, he is here to talk about destigmatizing the talk. And if you are a parent, you know what the talk is for more effective teen communication. Good morning, Dr. Asante.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
I love having you on the show. Where were you when I was growing up?
Girl, we don't know. Asleep.
Asleep, that's right.
Where we were
it
in
is.
the 90s.
So this is the second day. It's September 4th of Tacoma Public Schools. So this is very timely. So we're going to dive right in. What constitutes high-risk behavior for adolescents? And oh my gosh, what drives it?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
It's a real pleasure to be here. And also to all the parents out there, congratulations.
Oh, God, yes.
You survived summer and send your kids back to school now.
Right.
Because they have to go to work, just like you do.
That's right.
But what drives, all of this like high-risk behavior is really exploration. There is so much growth and development that is happening in the adolescent brain during those years, and people want to experience things. People also want to be in community with each other. And so young people wanting to be in community with each other and explore together kind of is a bit of a recipe for a little bit of mess, which,
Isn't it though?
we've all been there before. So that's really what sort of drives a lot of that.
I love that. So you're practicing at a new adolescent medicine center. Why is adolescent medicine an important field?
Yeah, I really believe that adolescent medicine is an important field because, there is so much that is happening. When kids are little, they get to go to the doctor all the time, right? They're going 2, 4, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. They're getting shots every time.
Yes.
Kids get sick a lot when they're younger, right? But then as they get older, we're like, well, they are healthy. And we forget that while their physical bodies might be healthier, right, because they're so resilient when they're getting older, their brains are really developing, and it's important for us to focus on that level of wellness, right? That is going to allow young people to become excellent adults, right? And that's what we're doing.
From your mouth to the universe's ear, that is so critical. What is the difference in the adolescent primary care setting, from typical pediatrics or even a family medicine?
Yeah, great question. One thing that we really love to do when we prioritize in the adolescent space is that we want to make sure that teens are building healthy relationships with their medical providers. Practicing self-efficacy in a non-judgmental space is huge to allow teenagers to become great advocates for their health and wellness as they get older.
Yes.
And we will model that in clinic, right? So the first part of the visit we do as a group, right? We make sure we get out all of the ideas on the table, right? But then we do ask parents to step out, and that is because we want to allow teens to recognize that the network of support that they need is also right here in clinic as well, that it's not just at home, it's not just at school, but that the doctor's office can also service that.
Oh my God, where were you when I was growing up? I needed someone to talk to. So what is important to check in with teens, or why is it important to check in with teens who seem to be doing well, doing fine? My teen has no issues.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think when I think about this, I think about sort of what I was like as a teenager, right? And on the outside, I think a lot of people would have thought that I was doing well. But on the inside, it was absolute chaos, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of us will hold sort of the exterior, right? But there is a lot behind that. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of feelings. Remember that we are building a prefrontal cortex for executive functioning, in those adolescent years. So there's a lot of emotional underpinnings to the exterior of everything is fine.
Yes.
So checking in with teens, initially it might be like, I'm fine. But then eventually by doing that consistently, there might be a moment where you get an I'm not fine.
Right.
And that is the moment that you get to capitalize on that relationship and really help teens through those areas of difficulty.
My daughter is 33. And when she was a teenager, we tried very hard to have dinner together so we could check in and just see how we all were doing.
Yes.
How can parents support sexually active adolescents responsibly without encouraging or shaming or intimidating or intimating hypersexual behavior?
Yeah, well, so, one thing I always tell families about is that having the conversation early does not necessarily mean that they are going to engage in the activity early,
Okay.
right? And in this question that you just asked, I remind all parents to stay calm. Stay calm, right? Because there's a lot of emotions that comes up for all of us, like when we sort of learn about these things.
Oh,
Let's
God,
put it
yes.
that way, right? And even on the inside, when I've had these conversations with teenagers, I also have to stay calm. So staying calm is super important. And at the end of the day, be honest. Ask questions that allows the teenager to express themselves, and then provide counseling and support that helps teenagers feel happy, healthy, and safe in the environment that they're having the conversation in.
You are everybody's uncle. Your family probably is like constantly going, are you going to have the talk with your niece or nephew?
Yeah.
Because you've got this down pat.
Thank you.
Are there definitive red flags that adolescents may be struggling emotionally or mentally? Because it's hard. I mean, the world is not what it was when I graduated in 1982.
Yeah. The word to pay attention to is change.
Okay.
So if you know your child, I tell parents that they know their child really well, right? And so if you notice a change, right? They are not hanging out with their friends as much. They're spending more time in their room. They don't want to come to the dinner table when you typically have conversations with them. You're having a conversation with them, and you're like, girl, are you here? Right? Like,
I see the glazed look
right,
in
like
your eye.
you are, right. If you are noticing a change, if the grades are dropping, if they're skipping class, if you drop them off at school and then you get a call that says they missed first, second, third period, those are the red flags, right? And so a lot of these things is really about have the ways in which they're functioning in their own environment changed. And if it has, pay attention to that and then work to act on it.
So, Dr. Asante, how does the community play a role in helping youth build self-esteem, self-worth, and resilience?
This is a question I love so much because I think that when I was younger and when you were younger, it was easy to walk around in the neighborhood and there be a community and a neighborhood around. And that has changed dramatically, right? We think about sort of, I think you had City Council member Jamaica Scott on, and she talked about that
Council Member Scott
as well, right? That you could just walk down the street and they'd be like, "Where's your mama?" Which probably meant you were in trouble.
Yes.
Right? We don't do that anymore. And so really this conversation is about, in the spaces in where teenagers and young people are, how do we continue to show them and model networks of support?
Yes.
Right? Whether that's at school, at home, at church, at the Boys and Girls Club or YMCA, at the doctor's office.
Absolutely.
Right? And continuing to model that and let teens know that we are here for you whenever you need us, I think is extremely important, that when they finally do need us, they feel like even if they're not going to go to their parent, they will go to somebody in that network.
Yes.
And we as parents and people who care for children have to be okay with the fact that they didn't tell us, but they told somebody that we care about.
Yeah.
Right?
Or somebody told them and then they came to us saying, my friend is experiencing this.
Exactly.
What's the most important thing for caregivers to remember as they engage with adolescents?
Yeah, I think I talk about this in the context of a healthy relationship, right? Communication, honesty, respect. And I think that if you can remember those three things, it will take you very far. But the other thing I also say is be available, be consistent, and set routines. So with toddlers, I actually sometimes will be like, you remember what it was like when your child was 3 and they're your little lawyers, right? They have a lot of words and they're super unreasonable.
Yes.
That does not change when they're 13 or 14. They have a lot of words and they are even more unreasonable, right?
Exactly.
And so being consistent in terms of how you show up and always being available will allow for open communication, even if initially you're not getting it.
I love that. We've been showing the website below that beautiful face of yours and if any parent is out there watching right now, boy, write that down because you have become my co-parent. I want you, if I ever had a child that needed some kind of help, I want you in the room. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It takes a village, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
It does take a village. We'll be right back after this quick break.